Hello, my crafty friends. It's me, Lisa, the DIY Diva, and I have a bunch of brand new Christmas crafts to share with you today. So get ready to get crafty and let's make some Christmas decor.
It all just goes away. The things I plan to say, oh baby.
To get started, I'm going to be using these Dollar Tree candles. Now, these are flameless candles, and I like flameless candles, especially for crafts. So I have this ribbon that I got from Hobby Lobby, and what I'm going to do is take off the wired ends of it. So I literally just ripped it off, and then the remaining ribbon portion, I'm going to secure that around the candle. Now, again, I would not do this with a real candle, one that burns like with fire, but with the flameless candles and the battery operated ones, these projects are really great. So I just wrapped that ribbon around the candle and then secured it with a little bit of hot glue. And believe it or not, the hot glue actually did adhere to the candle itself. It does have a little bit of a wax feel, which made me worry about the glue sticking, but it did. And once I had that ribbon secured in place on the candle, then I came back with this ribbon, and I got this at Hobby Lobby as well. And right now, all of their Christmas stuff is 50% off. And this was so pretty. I thought it would look really nice on top of that glittery ribbon. So I cut a piece off and then just secured that on top of the first ribbon that I put around the candle. And I've just removed the excess around the bottom, and I really like how this looks. So then I came back with the wired end of that first ribbon, and I tied it into a bow around the center of the candle, so it will be right in the middle of the ribbons. Then I just used some hot glue to secure the bow in place. And then I wanted to dress it up a little bit. So I just wrapped the tails of the bow around a paintbrush to give it a curly-Q effect. I think that's so pretty. I love those little curly-Qs. Then I added in another set of curly-Qs using some more of the wire remnant that was on the ribbon originally. Then I took some greenery, just some little pine pieces, and I just fit them in on top and around the bow itself. This will definitely give it a nice holiday feel. And then I secured a pine cone to the center, and I made 2 of them. But I wanted to have something to like elevate one of the candles, so I had this scrap piece of wood that I had stained, and then I had these table feet that I got on Amazon. So I just took some Dollar Tree wood glue and I put some of that wood glue onto each of the feet. And then because I love that instant stick, I did add a little bit of hot glue, and then I just secured each of the feet to the bottom of my wooden riser that I'm making, or it's like a little wooden table. The wood glue will make it permanent that those feet will stay on, but the hot glue will give it the instant stick so I can actually use the piece right now if I wanted to. Now, how was that for simple? I love how these little candles turned out. I think they look so pretty, so festive, and they are going to look great for my holiday decorating this year. For the next craft, I'm going to be using this little sign that I got at Dollar Tree. These things are so much fun to make over, and I don't need that centerpiece, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And I'm going to use some burnt umber paint and paint the entire sides, top, bottom, everything of this little sign. I really do like these signs. I've actually done a lot of projects with them. And once it was dry, I came back with some more of those feet again. They're kind of like a claw foot, and I really like the look that these feet give to anything that I'm rising up. So I'm basically making a riser. And even though I do use things like this a lot for risers, this is not going to be a riser. But I am going to come back with some of that Hobby Lobby ribbon, and it's a little bit wide, and then I'm just going to cut it down probably about half the ribbon size. And then I'm going to secure it to all four sides of this little tray. Next, I came back with some remnants of some floral foam, and I just secured that down into the bottom of the tray. And then I took a Dollar Tree mop head. These things are so much fun for Christmas crafts. And I cut about 1/4 of the length of the mop head, and then I just tucked it into the tray. I really like how that looks. It does look like snow. So then I came back with some Dollar Tree bottle brush trees, and I removed the base because I'm going to stick the trees down into that floral foam. And taking the base off just leaves that wire end, so it makes it really easy to push through the mop head and get down into the foam. And I just used 5 of the Dollar Tree bottle brush trees, and I like how that looks, but I did want to add a little bit of something extra. So I had these ornaments, and I glued those to the front of my little bottle brush tree display. This is so cute. It was really easy to do. And like I always say, I'm so excited to use this in my decorating. The bottle brush trees are just so much fun to work with for Christmas crafts. I love the tumbling tower blocks from Dollar Tree. There are so many things that you can do with them, and the wood glue as well. So what I'm going to do is take some of these tumbling tower blocks, and I'm going to make little Christmas trees. Now, I've seen people do this with large pieces of wood, but I wanted to see if I could do it with the tumbling tower blocks. So for this tree, I just took 3 tumbling tower blocks and glued them probably about 1/3 of the way down, and then I secured them to each other. So 3 blocks on each side will make the top of the tree. And then I took 2 blocks and glued them for the base of the tree. And I repeated this process with lots of other tumbling tower blocks, so I would have lots of trees. Next, I took this acrylic paint. This is Anita's acrylic paint, and I think it's avocado. I'm not really sure. And I painted the entire tree. I did the base, the top, the insides, the outside. All of the tumbling tower blocks got a complete coat of this acrylic paint. And once the first coat of paint was dry, I did come back and paint everything again. So all of my Christmas trees got 2 coats of paint. Next, I came back with some more pine pieces. And again, these are from Dollar Tree. And I just separated them into tiny pieces. And I just added a few of those branches to one side of the Christmas tree. I also added some wooden stars to the tops of the trees just to make it really look like Christmas. Then I took some rusty stars and I put those right into the center of the pine branches. And once again, we have a very easy craft, but I think it looks really great. And I don't think my Christmas trees look like they came from the Dollar Tree. Do you? Now, have you seen these little houses at the Dollar Tree? They are so cute for Christmas villages. They're $1.25 a piece, but I want to try something a little bit different with them. So I wanted to see if I could take the bases off of the houses, and I couldn't. They were so hard to get apart. And on one house, I was able to get the base off a little bit, but then I did have to come back with some nippers and remove the base of the houses. This was hard for me to do because I just felt like I was destroying something. But once I had the bases off, then I came back with some nutmeg acrylic paint and I painted each of the houses with a thick coat of the nutmeg paint. And once the paint had dried, then I came back with some white chalk paint and I painted the roofs. And once the roof was completely painted, then I took some iridescent glitter and I just sprinkled that over the roof and then shook off the excess. Then I came back with a 2-inch chip brush and I lightly brushed some of that white chalk paint onto the house. So I want to make this look like a gingerbread house, but I don't want to have to paint all of the little raised edges. But I found that by using this dry brushing technique, it really made the houses look like they were gingerbread. Now I'm trying to duplicate something that I saw on Pottery Barn. It's a little Christmas village with some bottle brush trees, and I thought these houses would be perfect for it. So I just carefully went around each side of the house and used just a little bit of the white chalk paint and lightly brushed it across the house. Once I had all 4 sides painted, then I did come back and add a little bit more because I did want this to look a little bit lighter. And I really love how much texture there is on these houses. It really picks up the paint very well, and it almost looks as if it is really made of gingerbread. Now at my Dollar Tree, they have 2 types of trays. They have a glittery tray and then the tray that I've seen lots and lots of times. But for this project, I decided to use the glittery tray. I really think this is going to work well for this project. So if you see these at your Dollar Tree, I would highly recommend you get this type of tray. So I took that white chalk paint and I painted the entire tray. Then I came back with that iridescent glitter and I just kind of poured some of that onto the tray as well. I repeated this process until the entire tray was white and glittery. Once that had dried, all I had to do was secure the houses in place and then add the bottle brush trees. Now, some of these trees did come from the Dollar Tree and some did come from Amazon. And once I had my gingerbread houses where I wanted them to be, then I just played around with the placement of each of these trees. Before committing to actually putting the trees in place permanently, I wanted to see what they would look like. And once I was happy with how the trees were going to be with my houses, then I just secured each of the trees in place onto the tray. And when I got the ones in the front, then I just spun the tray around and secured the trees to the back. I did have a few extra trees, so I wanted to add them in to my display as well. And again, I did like the placement, so I just turned the tray around so I could glue the trees where I wanted them to be when you're going to visualize it from the front. And I also added in some Dollar Tree lights. These are like fairy lights, and I think they look so pretty. This little gingerbread village, oh my gosh, I am so over the moon with how this project turned out. This was such a fun project. I would highly encourage you to give this one a try and see what you think. I think you'll be really happy with your results. Now, I had this sign that I was going to use for a different project, and it was a snowman at one time, but it's going to be a snowman once again. So I started by using some white chalk paint, and I painted the bottom portion of the sign because this is going to be the actual snowman. So 2/3 of the sign is the snowman, and it wasn't a thick coat of paint. It was just a light coat of the paint. Then I came back with some paint stir sticks, and once I had them measured off to the size that I wanted them to be, this will be the brim of the hat for the snowman, I used some Dollar Tree wood glue and I secured them together. I wasn't sure if they were going to stay exactly right, so I did use some Dollar Tree clamps, and that really helps to keep both of these pieces of wood in place where I want them to be while the glue is drying. And I did sand off the edges a little bit too, just to make sure it was nice and smooth. Then I came back with some fabric. Now this is homespun fabric, so definitely a country fabric print. And I used my Dollar Tree wood glue again because that's what I had. And once I had a lot of glue around the top portion of the Dollar Tree sign, then I smoothed down the fabric and I cut away the excess. I did leave probably about 1/4 of an inch around just to make sure it will fold over to the back of my sign. I secured those sides down with some wood glue and used the clamps again to keep the fabric secure while the glue was drying. Now I'm showing how I did this with the fabric on the sides of my snowman, but I also did this on the top. And once the brim of my snowman's hat had dried, I used some folk art wax. This is the dark wax. I painted that on the top of the brim and then all 4 sides. I did not put any on the back. Then I wiped away the excess wax, and this is what it looks like. By now, the snowman's hat, or the top, the material has dried, so now I can secure the brim in place. I'm going to use my Dollar Tree wood glue again just to secure those paint sticks to the front. And there's my snowman so far. My snowman needed a nose, so I used a large craft stick to shape a nose for my snowman. And then I used some orange paint. This is Crafter's Choice paint and it is in the color pumpkin. And I gave that little piece of wood a good coat of paint on the top as well as the sides. Now while that was drying, I did come back with some distressing ink and I used that all the way around the white portion of my snowman sign. I want to give this more of a primitive look, so I also used the distressing ink all over the white portion of my sign. And I even did it on the nose for my snowman. Next, I secured the snowman's nose in place. And then I used a paint pen to draw his eyes. Now you could use vinyl if you wanted to cut it out with your Cricut machine, but for myself, I found it was just as easy to draw the eyes. As well as the snowman's mouth. Then I did take a little bit of white paint and just give some highlights to his eyes. Now for this, I'm actually making a bow for my snowman. So I just have lots of strips of homespun fabric, different kinds of ribbon, and these are pretty much remnants. So I'm just taking strips of everything and I just used some floral wire in the center to gather everything up to be a bow. And then I secured that bow onto the top corner of the snowman's hat. And I used a tinier bow that I glued right into the center. And then I just started adding in extras. I had little paper doilies. I used those. I used craft paper, like the wired craft paper, and put some curly cues in. I added some torn up paper and a pine cone, as well as some country buttons and some cinnamon sticks too. And I wanted it to look like he had like a little tag sticking out of his bow. So I just distressed the edges of some paper and tucked them under the buttons. Next, I came back with another craft stick and I had these tags that said Merry Christmas. So I just took the craft stick, cut it down to the size. It'll be a little bit larger for like a background for the Merry Christmas. And then I used my distressing ink all the way around the edges of the craft stick. I used a little bit of hot glue to secure the Merry Christmas on top of that. And I wanted to make it look like a sign, so I used some curly Q craft paper, that wired craft ribbon paper, and I hot glued that to the back of my Merry Christmas. And I used some little remnants of paper for the back to keep those in place. And then I secured the sign to the top of my snowman's hat. And then I used some more buttons to look like the buttons were holding the sign in place. And since this is a Christmas snowman, I did want to tuck in some pine branches as well. Look at how cute that is. Oh my goodness. Now, if you would have told me that I could make something like this with a Dollar Tree sign, I don't know if I would have believed you. I don't even believe that I did this myself, but I love how this snowman turned out, and he is going to be a very special Christmas gift for a very close friend. So I hope they enjoy it as much as I enjoyed making the snowman for them. If you enjoy videos like this, go ahead and click that subscribe button and click the bell notification so you'll get an alert every time I have a new video coming out. And see, I promised you I had more Christmas crafts for you, and believe it or not, I still have more. So I need to get those videos edited, get them up here so you can have just as much fun crafting as I'm having right now. So until next time, happy crafting!